Welcome back to Outside Views. Today we tackle a critical and controversial topic impacting Britain post-Brexit. Farmers in England are furious as DEFRA pauses post-Brexit payment scheme. It's 2025 and Britain continues grappling with the complex repercussions of Brexit, particularly within its agricultural sector. The latest development causing widespread outrage involves the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, better known as DEFRA, unexpectedly halting its Sustainable Farming Incentive or SFI. And this abrupt pause on new applications has sent shockwaves through England's farming and countryside communities, leaving many wondering what comes next. To fully appreciate the gravity of this decision, we first need to understand the significance of the Sustainable Farming Incentive. The scheme was introduced as a cornerstone of Britain's post-Brexit agricultural policy designed to replace the European Union's long-standing Common Agricultural Policy or CAP. The core idea behind SFI was straightforward yet revolutionary. Instead of farmers receiving payments merely based on land ownership or production volume, the new system rewarded sustainable land management practices that enhanced biodiversity, protected the soil, and safeguarded the environment. On paper, the initiative aimed to reshape the landscape of British farming, positioning it as both economically viable and environmentally sustainable. However, the reality has proven far less promising. DEFRA's sudden announcement that no new applications will be accepted for the Sustainable Farming Incentive has stunned the farming community. What's even more concerning is that the government has provided little clarity on what will replace the scheme or when. Daniel Zeigner, Britain's Food Security and Rural Affairs Minister, attempted to reassure farmers by promising a revised version of the SFI would be unveiled following the government's upcoming spending review. But this vague assurance did little to quell rising frustration. Zeigner stated that the original scheme had no cap, making it a first-come, first-served arrangement that inevitably became financially unsustainable. He emphasized that the future scheme would be properly capped, but offered no specifics, leaving farmers uncertain and anxious about their future. This ambiguity has intensified farmers' distress, especially considering the challenges they already face since Brexit. For context, even under the current scheme, bureaucratic hurdles meant that by 2022 only 224 farmers across England had received payments through the Sustainable Farming Incentive. The cumbersome application process, coupled with sluggish responses from the Rural Payments Agency, already left many farmers frustrated. Now, with a sudden halt to new applications, the farming community feels abandoned. Tom Bradshaw, president of the National Farmers Union, the NFU, articulated the industry's widespread sentiment succinctly. What we have now is the haves and the have-nots. According to Bradshaw, this abrupt policy shift has effectively created two classes of farmers, those who secured funding before the pause and those left without support, potentially until next year or beyond. And the NFU president didn't mince words, calling the government's decision disastrous, further eroding already fragile trust between farmers and government institutions. Similarly, Victoria Vivian, president of the Country Land and Business Association, harshly criticized DEFRA's move as the most cruel betrayal yet. Vivian emphasized the broader implications, highlighting that halting the SFI actively undermines not only farmers but also environmental efforts across the countryside. In a context of renewed war in Europe, Vivian further pointed out the reckless nature of impairing domestic food production, calling it reckless beyond belief. The depth of anger and disappointment within rural communities cannot be overstated. For farmers, this isn't merely a bureaucratic misstep. It's a profound breach of trust. Having been repeatedly assured that Brexit would empower British agriculture with tailored support, farmers now feel they have been misled once again, and they supported Brexit. The optimism once felt about transitioning to more sustainable, eco-friendly farming practices has evaporated overnight. Instead, anxiety and confusion prevail as many farmers question their financial security and sustainability. Yet, this controversy highlights broader systemic issues tied to Brexit's legacy. Farmers were among the demographics heavily influenced by Brexit promises. Many believed that escaping EU bureaucracy would lead to more responsive and farmer-friendly policies. However, this recent decision underscores a troubling reality. The promised autonomy and prosperity post-Brexit have been far harder to achieve than anticipated. Moreover, Britain's broader post-Brexit agricultural strategy faces criticism for its lack of clear direction and consistency. This latest DEFRA debacle appears emblematic of a larger pattern. Policies enacted without adequate planning or clear communication, leaving stakeholders confused and, of course, unsupported. From an environmental perspective, halting the sustainable farming incentive represents a significant setback. The scheme aimed to reward practices beneficial to ecosystems, biodiversity, and long-term soil health. With a sudden stop to funding, many farmers might now revert to intensive, less sustainable agricultural methods, potentially reversing years of environmental progress. This decision, therefore, doesn't only have immediate economic consequences, it poses severe risks to Britain's environmental goals and commitments. Furthermore, it highlights ongoing tensions within Britain's government about how to balance economic pressures, environmental commitments, and political promises post-Brexit. Minister Zeigner's attempts to reassure farmers about an eventual replacement have so far fallen flat, given the lack of concrete timelines or details. Farmers, understandably skeptical, question the government's reliability and intentions moving forward. This crisis raises critical questions about the government's long-term agricultural vision. Will future policies genuinely support sustainable practices, or will short-term economic and political pressures dominate decision-making? Farmers need reassurance and concrete support, not vague promises. Ultimately, Britain's agricultural community urgently requires clarity, consistency, and genuine commitment from their government. Trust, once lost, proves incredibly challenging to rebuild. Farmers demand transparent plans, clear communication, and consistent policies supporting both their livelihoods and environmental responsibilities. As Britain continues to navigate its post-Brexit reality, the implications of decisions like DEFRA's recent move become increasingly significant. Farmers, already grappling with economic uncertainties and environmental challenges, cannot afford further missteps or ambiguity. The stakes extend beyond individual farmers, impacting entire communities, Britain's food security, and environmental health. So in conclusion, DEFRA's sudden decision to pause the sustainable farming incentive has triggered widespread anger and highlighted the profound complexities Britain faces post-Brexit. The government's ability to respond swiftly, transparently, and effectively will determine whether it can build trust and deliver on Brexit's promises. So thank you for watching Outside Views, and please subscribe and share your thoughts. I'm very interested to hear your perspectives. Until next time, stay informed and keep looking beyond the headlines. The next video is right here in the end screen.